This is the brand new iFootage Shark Slider Nano II, and this is how fast and easy it is to get incredible shots with this thing. I'm gonna tap manual tracking on the app, go to my first point, which I want to be pointed right at you guys. Tap A. I want my second point to be on this battery here. That's an additional accessory you can buy if you want. There's point B, hit standby. Start recording and hit start. A motorized slider is something I've wanted to add to my video production toolkit for so long, and this is the first one I've seen that actually makes sense for me. So let's dive into this thing, how to set it up, use it, what's cool, some quirks, and see if it's something you guys are interested in as well. First things first, let's talk about price. This is the long version. There's two versions. So this big one, the 17-incher, is $750. The 9.1-inch smaller version is $650. Both of these versions have the same payload capacity of 15 pounds, which is pretty freaking incredible that they're not limiting you based on which version you get. Also, if you did purchase the Nano 1, they're doing an incredible offer where you can email this email on the screen and you'll get 20% off the Nano 2 if you want to upgrade to this one. So that's pretty cool if you do want to upgrade. Let's talk about setup, because this is made in collaboration with DJI. You can probably notice that I have a DJI gimbal attached to this, and that is intentional, which is probably why it's more affordable as well compared to other high quality motorized sliders. It's assuming that you're gonna be using it with a DJI gimbal, and it's actually incredible, and I'm super pumped about it. Why is that exciting? Because I have an older RS2 DJI gimbal. I haven't upgraded in years, and this works with DJI gimbals all the way back from the RS2, which is perfect for me, up to the newer RS4 and RS4 Pros. So powering this entire setup is one USB-C battery. This is their battery, the PD140H. You don't have to use this battery, but I will say this thing has a ton of juice. I haven't even recharged it once yet, and I've been using this thing for probably about a week. But if you have a bigger USB-C battery that has enough power, it'll work with that as well. Like I have a V-mount battery, the Caleb Pike one from Small Rig, and that powers this setup as well. What's amazing is if you have a battery like this, you're powering not just the slider, but also the DJI gimbal as well because of this little adapter cable here. This adapter cable is necessary, so don't forget it when you're setting it up. I did that at first. Basically, this cable allows the gimbal and the slider to communicate, which is why it was so easy for me to set up my A and B points with moving the axes of the gimbal itself. So you have to use this cable if you want to get the full benefits out of it. It comes with the slider, so just make sure you plug it in. This gimbal is made of aluminum and carbon fiber, so it's relatively light, but it still needs a pretty robust tripod if you're gonna go that route. If you want this thing to be super mobile, you're either gonna need to put it on like 2 light stands, which would be pretty cumbersome, or a beefy tripod. So I'm just displaying it on this flat tabletop surface because this is how I've been using it for a lot of product shots for my YouTube videos, and it works amazing. There's a bubble level on here, so if you have it on a tripod, you can get your level perfect. But let me show you how to rip some cool shots on this thing so we can see just how easy it is. So basically, you need to open their app, which is the iFootage Moco app. So here's what the app looks like right here. You can toggle what type of shot you want to do. I'm doing video on a camera, obviously. And then I can get up to 8 points, 8 keyframes that I can set on this slider in one single shot, which is pretty amazing. I've mostly just been using 2, A and B, but the fact that you can set that many can unlock some pretty insane creative options. But because I have my adapter cable attached that I talked about, the gimbal and the slider are communicating perfectly. So I'm gonna go to the bottom and tap manual marking. This is how I like to use this slider. Hit confirm. When you hear it start to beep like this, that means it's in manual marking mode where you can freely move the slider by itself. So you can see I can move it like this. If it's not in that mode, I can't move it. It's locked like this. So always set it to manual mark if you want to shoot like that, which I think is the fastest and most fun way to use this thing. So it's in manual mark, so I'm going to use my little toggle in the back of my gimbal here to get my first shot. I can tap A either on the app or on the slider itself. Then I can move this to my next point. Let's just go right here and tap B, hit standby. It's going to go back to the original point. I'm gonna let it stop, hit record on my camera, and then hit start on the slider itself, and then it will start that loop of shots that I just set up. It's seriously so fast and so efficient, I love it. There is One big con though that I've noticed that I think iFootage can and should fix as soon as possible. So you'll notice the only thing that I had to use the app for was to put this thing into manual marking mode. As far as my knowledge goes from testing this thing the last week or two, I haven't been able to find manual marking mode on the slider's interface itself, which is very strange. So if they would add manual marking to the slider's interface itself, you wouldn't have to use the app necessarily to set your A and B points. And that's what I want. I don't want to use an app if possible with filmmaking gear like this. I'd rather just have it all be set up on the device itself. I don't think a device like this should be 100% reliant on an app. iFootage, I know you're seeing this. Please update the slider's firmware so that we can do manual marking mode on the interface. It would be a game changer overnight. One reason you might want to use your phone is you can have this little cold shoe connector here go onto your camera like this. This is not optimal. I hate using my phone for gear. I don't know why, that's just me. So you could set up your phone like this and then use the target tracking mode on the app. If you have your phone linked to your DJI gimbal with the DJI app, you can do auto tracking of a subject where you could set up an A and B point, but have your phone's camera linked to your gimbal and then it could be tracking your subject. So if you want the slider to be moving, but the gimbal to be moving independently, tracking you walking around or cooking or like whatever you're gonna use it for, you can use your phone to have the gimbal track you. I think I would have to have a Raven Eye transmitter as well on the bottom of this DJI gimbal to get the phone to connect to the gimbal so that whatever my phone camera is seeing, it's relaying that information to the DJI gimbal. And I ain't about that life. Sorry, I'm just not. So it is an option, but ain't for me. To be honest, their app is actually very good and simple. I just wish that the slider had the tracking itself, but let's just do like a shot with multiple points really quick. So I'm gonna put it in manual marking. You'll hear that beep. Let's do 1 point here. And see, now that I started manual tracking, I don't have to use the phone at all again. So this is gonna be my A point. Then let's go do this is my B point, this is C, and then let's just do a little move here, all the way over. I love that you can just adjust it with the gimbal head. It's so nice. That's G, and then let's end back in the middle as H. Okay, so that's all 8 points. It's on autofocus now, which is cool, so I can hit start, and that is beginning our 8-point journey, which is honestly so cool. And it even tells you on the screen here, which is a touch screen by the way, that this entire loop is 1 minute and 45 seconds. And you can adjust the speed of the slider. You can turn on loop or turn off loop if you want it to just go once or go infinite times. I usually leave loop on because I'm doing product shots and I can get multiple takes. And I will say, if you have a camera with really reliable autofocus and specifically touch tracking autofocus, this is kind of a game-changing setup for really high quality looking shots. I've been using my FX30 here with touch tracking to get product shots of other cameras and tech that I'm reviewing on the channel. And I can just touch the screen on my Sony to select a point. And as the camera, slider, and gimbal move, it will just stay sticky on that particular subject. And it looks amazing. If you have a Sony camera or a Canon camera specifically, it's gonna work pretty dang well as long as you have a fast autofocusing lens. It's pretty incredible, dude. I genuinely am gonna be using this thing all the time. One other potential con I'll mention about the slider is you do have a lot of vertical distance here between the slider and the camera's sensor itself. So basically, like, I can't put this thing on a tabletop and get an eye level shot of a product unless the product is up to the camera's height, or I have this thing on a tripod, a beefy tripod, and then I can bring it lower down here to get more like eye level shots of subjects. Because honestly, it doesn't always look good to be filming something down like this. I like my shots to have depth, where if the camera's down here at eye level, you'll see the nice blurred out background behind the subject, which looks really good. So if you have a really beefy tripod, you're gonna really love this thing for mobile filmmaking as well. But if you're doing tabletop stuff, just try to be creative with your shots so that not all of your shots of a product or something are just like straight down looking at the thing. It still looks cool, but you just gotta get creative sometimes to work around this vertical distance. Honestly, I don't know what else to say. This product is simple for what it does, and that just gets me really excited. I'm gonna be using this probably on most of my videos, especially product reviews going forward. And I'm just pumped. I'm pumped to have an option like this that doesn't break the bank. It works with the gear I already have, even the older DJI gimbals. and it makes filmmaking fun and immediately levels up your video production with these slider shots. So if you guys are interested in this, there's gonna be a link in the description or the pinned comment. You can check it out. If you're a Nano I user, make sure you email them and get that 20% off discount on your Nano II. And thank you guys so much for watching. Text me when you get home so I know you're safe. Watch out for deer because they're using manual sliders with no motorization, and that's just absurd. And you guys are loved so much more than you may know. All right, God bless you. See you in the next one.